Welcome to another video in AccuLynx's educational series, where we take our experience in speaking with thousands of roofing and exterior trades contractors across the country, and we try to distill some of the lessons and trends and concepts that we catch from those guys and pass them on to you so that we can honestly just help the industry be better in general. So in this video, we're going to be going over 5 reasons that we've discovered that roofing companies tend to fail. They tend to have struggles. So let me go ahead and jump right into it here. First of all, if you're not familiar with AccuLynx, who we are, what we do, and so forth, we are the leading business management software provider for the residential roofing industry. We were the first software that was exclusively developed for the roofing industry almost 10 years ago now. There had been plenty of systems and CRMs and so forth out there, but nothing that was really built specifically around the needs, the priorities, and some of the challenges that the residential roofing industry faces every day. And today, thousands of roofing companies across the country are using AccuLynx every day to run their business, to stay organized. And so, of course, we're interacting with these guys every day, which is where a lot of this information and this insight is actually based off of. So obviously, if you don't know this, the roofing business is an over $100 billion industry, and yet it seems like about 50% of new roofing businesses that start up, we find that they fail before they even make it to, say, $3 million in revenue, right? And there's a whole lot of reasons for that. And some of those things are what we want to go over today. So what are some of the warning signs that maybe either your business or one that you know of or some of the other businesses have run into that kind of gives us some ideas that, hey, maybe we're struggling a little bit. Maybe there's some things that we can do to pull ourselves out of this before we just finally go down the drain altogether. So again, 5 reasons why roofing companies fail. Let's go ahead and jump right into those things. First of all, process is a big deal. And so many times we have seen businesses get started up on what I like to call hustle and caffeine, right? You get a guy or a lady or a team, a couple people where, maybe they used to sell for one company and they decided that they're going to, they don't like giving the profit to the owner of that company and they can do it themselves. And I'm already driving so many of the sales there, so let me start up my own company. And of course, especially in a new business, being able to work hard, have a vision for what you're doing, work some long hours, some weekends, whatever. Some of that is a necessity, but I think so often what happens is that hustle and that grind, that we'll just make it happen, sort of seeps in and becomes a substitute for having some sort of a meaningful, definable, repeatable, established process in place, right? And so people are, you got a bunch of different people doing a bunch of different things. You got some knee-jerk reactions because, maybe this job messed up, and so we throw this rule in place to solve that one little problem, and then later on something else goes wrong, and so we create another rule to solve that problem. A year, 2, 3 years down the road, you wind up with this convoluted process that's put in place, and oftentimes you can't even get people to tell you why some of these things are still done. It's just what we do. And so there's not really an established process, clearly defined, repeatable, and oftentimes the most important piece is scalable process in place to ensure that everybody knows what's going on. When you hire a new person on, can you clearly tell them what's going on? If you can't describe to them in 30 or 60 or seconds or maybe a couple of minutes what exactly your process is, you might want to consider that your process is either ill-defined or maybe just too complicated to really sustain a long-term business operation. So you look at it as an investment in your business, an investment in your growth of your business, and really transforming, this hustle, this grind that you've created into a business that can sustain itself and maybe even, allow you to go on a vacation or move into other areas. Really consider sitting down to look at having an established process in place, clearly defining that thing, writing it down, and then, of course, most importantly, making sure that everybody in your team is on the same page with that. Next up, a lot of times there can be a lack of business data, right? A lot of businesses, when they start off, they'll have a pile of paper. They'll go get a quick contract made. They'll have folders they're running along, and again, it's all run on hustle and caffeine, as I like to say. And so everyone's just doing what it takes to make today's problems go away. you definitely can fall into being a victim of the tyranny of the urgent. And sometimes what that means is that records aren't kept as well, notes aren't kept, information isn't stored in such a way that people can go back and find it and refer to it, and stay on the same page. I mean, a lot of times early on in a business, you could have some turnover, and if all of the information just lives in one person's head, that doesn't mean that person's always going to be there. And so being able to have good record management and making those habits early, it's a whole lot easier when you're smaller than when you're bigger to make new habits. Having those habits early can really help you be able to go back and see what's going on or what did happen in our business. Understanding some KPIs, key performance indicators, as to how your business is performing. I've seen so many companies where they maybe they look at how much money is in the bank and they think that's how much money they have in profit, but in actuality, they're not looking at maybe what their receivables and their payables are, and what their sales numbers are looking like, and they're not able to really keep track of really the nitty-gritty details of how their business is performing, where they're struggling, where they're excelling, how each of their team members and departments are performing. Being able to keep an eye on that kind of stuff and keeping an eye on it regularly can help you to get in front of a problem before it becomes a problem. And that goes to the third point there, being able to stay on top of performance in order to make better decisions. And decisions, a lot of times, people are thinking about financial decisions. Should we buy this? Should we do this? Do we have enough for that? And of course, that's an important part of any business, but it could just be simple decisions about what to do today, how to handle this person, maybe how to provide them some coaching or some guidance, or give them some of the tools that they need in order to perform better or at a higher level, or to take them to the next level, whatever the case might be. Underestimating the importance of admin tasks, right? This one, of course, is a little bit controversial because if you're a business owner, especially if you're one of those alpha A-type, hustle, go out there and sell, a lot of times administrative tasks wind up being the lower priority, right? You find somebody who to run the office for you, and let's just be honest, sometimes you don't always give them all of your attention or all of the priority or all of the resources sometimes that they need to do their job. Good computers, good monitors, maybe a second monitor, things to help them do their job, and to recognize the importance of the administrative side of your business. Because you might sell, but if you ain't got money in the bank, or you don't know how much money you got, or you don't have invoices going out regularly, or you're losing track of this and that, then that's going to cause some significant challenges to your business. So the importance of having proper bookkeeping, tracking your jobs, reporting on things, knowing what's going on, having schedules, and easily to find information can be infinitely valuable to, in the early days, of course, making sure that you're building your company on a good foundation. But as your company continues to grow and to succeed, and as you try to grow and scale it, maybe bring more people on, move to new areas, and so forth, being able to have a strong foundational administrative foundation is infinitely valuable to making sure that your company is continuing to operate at a high level. Cutting corners, trying to find the cheapest way to save a couple dollars on a computer or on a software, buying cheaper laptops, because you don't want to spend a couple dollars on one with a nicer processor, more storage space, faster internet, etc. Really is a more expensive fix, or is a more expensive problem, rather, in the long run. So try to put as much emphasis and focus on the administrative side as we are tending to put on our sales side. Of course, the revenue generating side of your business is important, and there's a whole art and knack and science to handling that. But try to avoid the temptation to just ignore or diminish the power and the importance of the administrative side of your business. Now, how about this? And this is, again, kind of going hand in hand with what we talked about before, but not investing in the business, right? Again, it's easy to call everything an investment, but some things have a little bit of a better ROI than others. And so we've got a couple of examples here. Investing in recruiting, right? We have, I constantly hear people, how do you find sales guys? How do you find good people? We just can't find good people. Everybody sucks. Everybody wants something for free and this and that and the other thing. And again, some of that could be maybe you are struggling with a challenging workforce, job pool in your area, but it also could be some of the things that we spoke about earlier, having a clearly defined process, having a good company culture, having a place that people actually want to work. And in this day and age, there are multiple services out there to help you with some of the parts of your business that might challenge you. Recruiting, of course, being a big one. Helping, you can work with these services to find the right, again, identify who you're looking for and then have them find the person that's the right fit. Next up, of course, is training, right? Training your people on maybe the materials that you install, maybe some of the methods that you use to install them, maybe training them on software that you use or computers. The roofing and contracting industry so often is plagued by people that are a lot of times they're hesitant to use technology, right? They're good at their hands. They're good at building things and crafting things, and that's certainly a testament to their skills and their qualities and their personalities. But being able to make sure that they know how to use the tools that you have, and let's be honest, the materials that you install, the tools that you use, the physical tools you use to install them, but also the technology, your computers, your tablets, your laptops, and the software that runs on those things is also an important part of training, right? It's not just about physical hands-on training with stuff, but also with the tools that it's going to take to help you run your business, as an example. So put people through training. Don't underestimate that. That is an important part of your business. It also makes the people feel important. It makes them feel valued and valuable to your business as well. So it's an investment not only in your company, but in your people. And then also invest in scalability, right? I remember one of the customers of ours that, in my opinion, has made some of the most impressive strides in their business. The first time I met them, they had been in business at that time for maybe 2, maybe 3 years, something along those lines. But if you were to have walked in the door and looked at how they operated and looked at what the processes were that they put in place, you would have thought they were a company 10 times the size that they were, both in terms of personnel and in revenue. They were acting as if they were much larger, and they were putting things in place that probably were overkill for where they were at the time, but not overkill for where they knew they wanted to go, right? They knew they wanted to grow. They knew they wanted to scale, and so they were bringing in high quality personnel, having regular staff meetings, board meetings every week, pull people in, prioritizing that. You try to call that company at Monday at 10 a.m., you were not getting anybody, not in the office, because that was a priority. This is when we focus on the business and tracking things and keeping an eye on this and that and the other thing. So they were focused on scalability, not only in terms of organization, but also in terms of the technology that they were putting in place. And again, they probably could have operated without AccuLynx at the time, but they knew that they weren't going to be able to operate at the level they wanted to get at without something like AccuLynx, and that was why they brought us in. So focus and invest on scalability as well, even from an early age. Build that into your culture, into your process, into the way that you do things, and then when you do get there, you'll already have those things in place. And then finally we have here is underestimating the competition. I find so many times businesses are struggle to really give me a differentiating factor, right? And it can't just be that we're cheaper, right? If you're the cheapest guy in town, that is a fast path to the bottom, right? That is a fast path to the bottom. You got to have a differentiating factor, whether it be the service that you offer, whether it be some warranty that you offer, the systems that you sell, the way you design things, the way you go back and maybe do final inspections, whatever, something to provide a bit of differentiation between you and your competition. You've got to have some way of standing out from the crowd, and pricing isn't going to do it, right? At least that shouldn't be your differentiating factor, unless your price is the highest and you can justify why that is, right? You can justify that high price and show the value to the customer. Sometimes they're just not meeting the needs of the customers. Look, industries change, people's expectations change. If you even look just 5 or 10 years in the past compared to today, what the consumer expects and what they want, some of the services they're looking for are different than what they were there. And of course, they're even more different than what they were 15, 20, 30 years ago, right? Keep an eye on what your customers are asking you for. If you find that your customers are continually asking you the same thing and you're maybe kind of scoffing it, well, why would anybody nobody want that. That doesn't make any sense. That's just silly. One person here, one person there. Okay, maybe. But if you're starting to get the same concepts, the same questions, the same requests over and over and over and over again, that might be a clue that you should start listening to that. It's possible that nobody is providing that service, and yet there seems to be some expectations, and maybe, going back to my previous step, that can become your differentiating factor. Certainly, if you've got a lot of customers that are asking for the same type of trade, the same type of service, maybe you don't do gutters, but people keep asking you to do gutters. That's an indicator that people are interested in having you do their gutters, and if you can find a way to make that work, that can be a way to not only bring in some extra revenue, but to continue to meet the needs of your customers. And then lastly, of course, they tend to resist change. Now look, as a human being, we all tend to resist change a little bit, right? We don't like it when what it is that we've always done no longer seems to suit us. I mean, how many times have you spoken to somebody, well, it's worked like this for so long, why would we need a change now? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And there's some merit to that. Certainly, if you've got a process that's working well for you, you don't just uproot everything and tear everything down and build and rebuild it again. But sometimes it can be easy just to think that your process is the best way when the industry has changed. I think it's funny right now that, so many of the people that don't want to adopt some software, well, they're super happy with their phone, or they're super happy with their, some other, little sort, a file folder or whatever. But look, 10, 15, 20 years ago, that was new. And what were the people then saying? Oh, well, I like my Daytimer, or I like my PDA, or I like my whatever. Look, the world changes, technology changes, trends change, and the tools that are available to you change. So don't be so afraid to embrace the change that's coming your way, whether it be technological or process or product, service, and things along those lines. Stay fresh, stay relevant, stay on track and on top of where the trends are going in your industry. So with that being said, a lot of these things that we've spoken about today were trends that we saw, and we built some fixes and some tools into AccuLynx to help address some of those things. So AccuLynx is a CRM. It's a system. It's a database, right? That is designed to, among other things, right? You can start to manage your incoming business from the very first time that you speak to this person, through estimating, production, and then of course final invoicing and closing the job out. We have a whole host of reporting features that are designed to either show you some KPIs or help you define what are some important KPIs for you. You can customize your reports and build them out to show exactly what it is that you are looking for. We have a whole host of organizational and visualization tools, production calendars, some material delivery tools, and integrations with accounting services like QuickBooks to help you kind of bring everything into one place and to stay organized. Work with the tools and the systems that you're already using, and then just kind of bring AccuLynx into that fold as well. We offer a comprehensive training from the get-go, right? When you come on board with AccuLynx, we put you through a whole training regimen with one of our trained coaches here, many of whom were in the roofing and construction industry for many years prior to joining the team here. And then, of course, you got lifetime support, knowledge bases, and other learning assets available to you as well. And then, of course, one of the things a lot of people don't always realize with software is that being organized, knowing what's going on with your business can help you ensure your customers' satisfaction, because no longer is it is the answer to the question that the customer has, well, I don't know, let me call John, your sales guy, and figure out what's going on, and I'll call you back. Now you have a system where all of the information is in one place, and you can provide the answer. You can provide a great experience. You can provide a result without having to put somebody on hold or whatever. And that's just one example of ways that software and the organization that they allow can help you provide great customer satisfaction throughout the entire process. If you have any interest in learning more about AccuLynx, getting a custom demonstration from one of our sales engineers, I would encourage you, check out AccuLynx.com. I've got the address here on the page. Fill in our form there. We'll get somebody in touch with you real quick. We would love to kind of show you what's going on, see what's going on in your business, what your unique story is, what your unique challenges are, and see if there's a good fit to help AccuLynx take your business to the next level. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you on a future call.